We're back on Inside Politics, talking today to Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally. The legislature comes back to town next week to start its business for the year. Lieutenant Governor, there's been a lot of problems in the area for the rural areas, particularly in the closing of rural hospitals. Mm-hmm. And this week there was also a study that came out from Vanderbilt that basically showed that in the states that have adapted to the Affordable Care Act and accepted the federal money, which Tennessee has not done, those states that have done it have seen an improvement in their health care outcomes for the people there. The state is going ahead now with this paid leave, at not a huge cost, but they're not getting money like they did from the state. But it seems to me that there's a lot of people feeling like that doing this is sort of helpful to the state in terms of the leave, because people's well-being and mental health and nothing else, peace of mind to do that. What about the peace of mind for people who need health care and they can't get it because the legislature continues to refuse taking this federal money? And we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, in many cases, if you look at the Kaiser Permanente study, they did a study on rural hospitals throughout the nation, and they looked at hospitals that were licensed for 50 or less beds, and they found that they only actually had in use half those beds, and their census was like 7, and the average number of employees was 231, I believe, and they were completely upside down. So we have put money in to look at what mission changes we would need to what law changes we would need to make to help rural health care be better delivered in those areas. They don't need and couldn't support, I think, a full standing hospital in many of those communities, but maybe something like a souped up emergency room, urgent care type facility with a few beds that, and also with telehealth. I think telehealth is important.
Statewide, the governor's looking at going to the Trump administration and asking for a block grant. No other state in the country has done that. Do you expect to hear anything back from the Trump administration? Are these negotiations going to work out before the end of this year, when the Trump administration may or may not be back come 2021?
I hope they do. And you're right, Tennessee is the only one, and there are a number of states that are looking at Tennessee as far as the block grant procedure.
Why do you think that's better? Why is a block grant better than the way it's been done right now? Right now we have an unlimited amount of money that we can bring down in a match. This would limit the amount of money we can bring down to some degree.
To some degree it would, but it would also might mean more money in the fact that we hope that what we're negotiating for is that the block grant would be tied to medical inflation and also the number of recipients that come into the program.
Is it the hope that if there are savings for this, and I think that's what the governor hopes will happen, that those savings will stay into the program and not be taken out to be used for roads or other programs?
Right.
Do you think the legislature would be willing to go on record to make sure that that would be the case going forward? You wouldn't spend money that are, quote, savings out of this? The governor's also talking a lot about criminal justice reform for next year. He's had a group come back and recommend basically a complete overhaul of the city's criminal code. Is the legislature ready to digest that right now, or are you looking maybe for more smaller steps?
I don't know that it's a complete overhaul of the criminal code. I think there'll be some changes in the criminal code. I think there'll also be a lot of work done with prevention of recidivism, how we can require people to, as part of a condition of their parole, that they have a GED and different. You have a
bill put in by one lawmaker this time that would basically call for chemical castration for people if they were convicted of child sex molestation, and they'd have to have that as a part of a mandate for their parole. That wouldn't seem to be moving in the way you're talking about.
Well, I think that with the very serious felonies, the violent crimes, I don't think that's part of the governor's plan to reduce the jail population. I think he's looking at technical violations like parole and things like that.
The State Capitol Commission will once again be looking sometime in the next few weeks about what to do with the bust of the General Forrest that's out in front of the Senate chamber. Has been there for a number of years. There have been some new members put on that committee. Do you think it's time to move it out of the Capitol, put it in a state museum or someplace else, or leave it there and maybe put some additional context to it?
I think my preference would be to put some additional context to it, but it's really up to the Historical Commission and the Capitol Commission to make that decision.
Legislature won't do this year, but they're looking at redrawing the district lines, and both on the congressional level and also on the state level after the census. A lot of talk again about dividing Davidson County, which is a Democratic area, into 3 or 4 different districts instead of keeping it all together in one district, which it's been for many years. Any ideas? You've seen those maps going around that are being talked about how to do that, right?
Not yet, because we don't have all the data or the projected data yet.
Well, there's some people already putting lists together, assuming what it's going to look like. Would you be in favor of dividing up Davidson County?
It would depend. I think to some extent we might have to, depending on the population of the county.
Tennessee Senator Lamar Alexander is not seeking re-election. You have 2 members running to take his place, former Economic Development Commissioner Bill Haggett or Dr. Manny Setti. Are you going to get involved in that? Are you going to endorse either one of them in the Republican primary?
I'll endorse them after the primary.
You'll support whoever wins the Republican primary.
Right.
Expect the GOP supermajority to continue in the legislature after the November elections this year?
I do.
So I know you've also been meeting with mayors across the state. You say you don't agree on everything, but for the most part, it was a cordial meeting.
It was. They're understanding, and I'm understanding, and it was. I know a lot of them personally, and so it was a good meeting.
Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, thank you so much for being on the program. Well, look, it's going to be an interesting session. I suspect we'll try to have you down during the session to see how things are going.
Anytime. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on Inside Politics this week. Hope you'll be back here again for a future show. If you can't get into politics in the meantime, go to the NewsChannel 5 website. You'll find my Capitol View commentary there. This is a commentary posted every Friday afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you back here next time. Goodbye.